Hey everybody, it's B, the tax lien strategist. Before I finish making my notes for the next interview that I have coming up, I did want to go ahead and make a quick audio video about this topic, since it seems to be this is where we are in our online class as well with some investors. And the topic of that is they've noticed that there are disappearing lots and addresses now. They notice that in gentrified areas we have more and more addresses that are not showing up when you try to access this information from the Harris County Appraisal District. So when people call me and say, Miss V, I live out of town, but we have air property in Houston. My cousin lived in there. The taxes were paid and everything. We weren't able to get to the bottom of it because he doesn't really understand what's going on. But a constable came to the house, and basically someone had filed a writ of possession. So that means that the cousin was not aware of the someone purchasing the house. The cousin was not aware of that property going to foreclosure, meaning that the supposed owner is now suing to get him out of the house. None of the didn't serve notice, didn't do anything. No indication to the cousin that anything was different on the title, but they get a constable there to move them out. And him not knowing anything, not knowing what to do. Something that I tell people not to do is to move. He went ahead and moved out. Now, of course, when I started investigating, first when people call me and say that they own a property, I'm going to check and, they were heirs. I'm going to check and make sure of whether that's valid or not, because our search has to be based on something. And it's normally based on people saying that my family owned that property and no one sold it. And y'all need to understand something. Texas is an airship state. Property will belong to heirs for the duration, as long as heirs don't sell it outside of the heirship lineage. This is what happens in heirship states. Property remains the ownership of the heirship lineage until it's sold outside. And all heirs have to sign, not just one who a predatory investor can throw a few bucks and say that the property is all theirs. That's not it. And those are the ones that are going to be losing these cases faster. And the ones, once we file fraud charges, then of course the district attorney gets these cases. And now it's a case for the district attorney. We're back to the story. So when I began doing my searches, I have a name, I have an address, and I have an account number. Now, the name search isn't my go-to initial search, because names could be misspelled, or we have situations where investors are trying to hide hide who they are by having a business name with spaces and all type of symbols between the letters. Who would know to look your property up to see what properties you own with all that foolishness on there? With simple words, business names with all kind of spaces and symbols and all kind of stuff between the letters. It's a dead giveaway. And so when we find those, we pull those out immediately. Of course, we find why they do that. They don't want to be exposed. But that's one of the reasons I don't start with searching names. Addresses can be put in wrong on recording. But But what pretty much remains the same on all searches is going to be a legal description. A legal description is the lot and block number and the subdivision name. And so that is how I start my searches, simply because I want to look at the placement. Now, your legal description is the placement of the property on a piece of land. With the right tools from Harris County Appraisal District, you're going to see boundary lines once you pull a map. You're going to see boundary lines, and which determines one property from another. It doesn't necessarily mean one owner, because one owner can own more than one property. But that's how we start. We have to have a starting point. So when I go to search the legal descriptions and you find out that it's no longer there, that's a problem. Now, that's, to me, is very reminiscent of a lot of this. We have to understand what systems mean. I've tried to explain that on here before. Systems is not just one action. It is a combination of things that are meant to roll into the next system, roll into the next system that's supposed to keep a certain person on top. Now, when you think about this, that came to mind because I understand why, some of these things may disappear temporarily, and normally that happens when an investor comes in and replats a piece of property, and the Harris County Appraisal District removes the former information, so nothing shows up there. Now, I am a title examiner. I know this. But what about the novice? What about someone who I'm teaching how to check titling? I always give them more than one way to check and double check and double check. What the novice? They go away thinking that property never existed. Y'all see what I'm saying? So I'm also going to be doing a series in disappearing property addresses. That's another tool of gentrification. Gentrification is a tool for racism, and it's all a tool for displacing Black people from their homes and from their neighborhoods. I'm going to end this one now for the size of the file, and I will continue to upload some more information on this topic as the days go by.